Hi, this is Elisa from the Rebel Crone, and this video is part of a series where I'm looking to take the mystery out of the woo-woo. And there's nothing more woo-woo these days than the whole thing of channeling. I'm dedicating this video to my special friend Jason because I know how much he loves channeling. Nowadays, the internet is flooded with people channeling. There's a new person every day that is channeling out a message. And I think it's really important as we sift through this information that we have a level of discernment. And the level of discernment is going to be contingent on your understanding of what's really going on. So today I'm going to share with you my perspective of the whole area of channeling. Let's start to take some of the confusion out of it by looking at a few different charts I'm going to create for you and explain how I see things. So I hope it's going to be helpful. Today's topic, channeling. Here we go. First off, forgive my low technology here, but that's how this girl rolls. And this is my studio. If I waited to understand something higher tech way of doing this, it would never happen. So we got to work with what we have. This is what I have. A whiteboard, a marker, and me. So here we go. For our first chart here, this is very simple. Understand that I'm taking multi-dimensional concepts and I'm bringing it down to a simple, flat, two-dimensional whiteboard. So our first example here of understanding what happens in channeling, we have to keep in mind the nature of the layout of reality. Proportions aren't going to be correct with this, but use your imagination. Top part here, this is the realm of spirit. Below the line is the realm of humanity. This is the visible realm, the invisible realm. And this is the border between the two. Now, whether there is a hard and fast border like we perceive right now, that's natural. We don't know that for sure. I would guess that probably not. And I say that because any genetic scientist looking at our genes can see that they've been manipulated. They don't know who did it. They don't know why they did it, and they may not know necessarily how it's been done, but they've been manipulated. There's been things cut out, and there's things that have been turned off. So that tells me that specifically our perception of reality has been culled down to a very, very narrow bandwidth, so that our interface with spirit, potentially that has been changed, and for very specific reasons. You and I both know what a lot of those reasons could be. So let's take what we have available to us right now, our human experience, and I'm just going to make a little box right down here. This is right now, as humans, this is the area we perceive. Our interface with spirit has been very clouded at best, completely dark most of the time for most people, completely dark. But within this bandwidth of perception, now we've got the vertical here, but the horizontal bandwidth, there is so much more going on vibrationally on this bandwidth, but we only can perceive a small part of it. Different animals, different insects, different beings, they have other abilities. They may see more the ultraviolet band than we do, but this is where we are generally speaking. Now, because we're going to be talking about channeling, let's look at what some of the gifts certain people have, whether it's just an innate gift they have or something they've developed. What they develop in channeling is a way to bridge spirit and bring information forward. And this can be done within this bandwidth of our senses, as in ESP, extrasensory perceptions, or all the different clairs like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairtangency, clairaudience, I don't know if I said that, but they're all, the clairs have to do, I think there's like 8 of them or something, have to do with abilities that people have within certain sensory perceptions of crossing over this bridge and seeing and knowing and feeling or hearing things that are unavailable to most of us. And I think some of the clairs too also have an expanded border out here where things are just clearer. the veil between the two realms has clouded. So they're able to bring things in so that information from spirit can pass through to that person, hence channeling, right? Well, let's keep in mind, this is just the basics, remember? Let's keep in mind that as in humanity, we have people vibrating at many different levels of humans, right? We all know that. We're where we are, and we have people we know that, wow, they are really bringing in so much more information. They're so in touch and intuitive and awakening. And then we have people that it's just not happening. So conversely, in the spirit realm, because this is a mirror of it, it's a projection, all spirit, this is all one vibration, remember? We are all one thing. There's one energy pattern at work. It is from the one source, and it differentiates through the vibrational realms. So down here we have the differentiation into the slow, more dense realms of time space where we're existing, where everything's moving along sequentially at sometimes very painfully slow rates. When it comes to certain changes we want, right? We wish they'd go a lot faster. And then other times things are moving a little too fast. It's like, whoa, slow down this boat. Anyway, so we have this down in this area. As we move up in the realms of spirit and higher vibration, there's higher vibrating spirits and there's lower vibrating spirits. I like to look at this realm that's closer to humanity, and a lot of people call that maybe the astral planes. But these lower realms, it's quite the mixture of spirits. They're not all clear just because it's invisible. And this is really important. Just because something's coming from the spirit realm and in the invisible realm doesn't mean that that entity, that form of consciousness of the one vibration is clear. And it doesn't mean that they're all on board with humanity or all on board with helping you. There's all kinds of confusion and stuff still happening in this realm because it's directly connected. It's a lower vibration. The higher up we go, the clearer the messages, the more based in love they are. I mean, because that's at the bottom line, right? One source, spirit up here, one source. This source is love, pure and simple. What radiates from it, closer to it's going to be a clearer form, a clearer consciousness of the love. And as it moves down, it gets diffused, it gets more chaotic. Hence, we come into the realm of humanity, and it's a really interesting realm for spirits. I mean, one day when we transition over and we're able to look back down at this experience of being a human, we're going to be going, oh my God, that was a wild ride in the wild, wild, wild west of vibrations because of all the stuff going on here, all the incredible, beautiful chaos that we're trying to make sense of, and we're growing and we're learning through all of this. Anyways, the point of this when it comes to channeling is just because somebody is tapping into the invisible realms doesn't mean that it's all a clear message. It doesn't mean it's all a message that's on board with humanity or on board with you and your own evolvement and development. Not necessarily so. So this is the first cautionary, I would say tale here. It is kind of a tale. There's cautionary input I can give you, tip, is that just because it comes from the invisible realms doesn't mean that you trust it as being accurate. It's mysterious to us because we don't see it, but we need even a keener sense of discernment than we do back down here in this little physical bandwidth that we exist in. I mean, you think about it, part of our maturation process is learning discernment, right? Is learning discernment when people come into our lives. It's like, do I want to hang out with that person? Do I want to listen to them? Is what they have to say accurate? And we have to really use, for me, it's like using our minds. It's like the mind and the intuition of my gut, and then my heart, and then my actual mind centers. To use all these intuitions and have them come into play when we're moving through our life, so we know what to align with, what to listen to, what to believe in. All these things are so true down here. You know, it's kind of this It's part of the maturation process, right? As little kids, we grow up and we become way more savvy to the world and how it works. Well, we need to become savvy to this world, the world of spirit, and how it works. And the first interface we've had with this is through channelers, whether it is through other people or yourself, is your own clear abilities, your own ability to sense things and know things and see things and or hear things. We all have different abilities in this area. Now, for me, I have an unusual mixture of it. I started out as a very young girl having out-of-body experiences and having different kind of visions where I would hear and I would know certain things. I have a certain sense of knowing the future coming. You know, it's just impressions. It's just for me. It's just about me and understanding and sensing changes coming. And the more I've worked with it and honored it, the clearer I'm getting directions on how to move through my life in the way that's going to be of my highest and best interest. Anyway, so that is the ultimate goal, is connecting to things that have our highest and best interest in mind. We need to use discernment. Within this simple chart here, the simple diagram, I hope it explains to you that especially in this spiritual realm, is discernment is absolutely necessary. Our next chart here is going to start like this. On this side, I am going to have our higher self. Put the higher self, whether you want to call it the immortal, true self. This is your spirit. Okay, and then do a little drawing here of a person, of you, with their little heart right here. And spirit is projecting consciousness into this physical body. Well, actually, I have it going into the heart center right here, but it is connected ultimately through the silver cord that goes into our physical being. That breaks, the connection's gone, and we're done with this incarnation, right? All right, so here is spirit projecting into us, and then on the other side, we project. I'm going to put this as the world here. We are projecting then our consciousness and creating our world. So in basic essence, right, what's happening is projection and reception. Giving and receiving. Spirit is projecting, we're receiving that, and then once we reflect that and we project into the world that receives our projection, and it forms up accordingly, right? Makes sense. But this is really important when it comes to channeling. There is a point to this. So as spirit projects into us, into our consciousness, and then we project out into our world, what happens right here is the zone of free will. Spirit will never violate that zone ever. That is a sacrosanct in the universe. It's one of the universal laws, is free will. And what a beautiful thing that is, isn't it? Otherwise, we would just be little automatons down here and doing the right thing all the time, and the world would be heaven on earth, but it'd be a bunch of automatons just like doing whatever spirit tells us to do. How fun is that? Not as much fun. I mean, yeah, some days it feels like that'd be a lot more fun, but the creativity would be gone. The collaboration with spirit would not be there. This is a collaborative thing. Consciousness is growing because it has free will and it can experience all these different things. So as the projection of spirit, our higher selves comes in, it goes through the zone of free will. And in that zone, what I am going to propose here is the quality of this is reflective of the quality of our heart. Now, if you've got a person down here where their heart is just all mixed up and is very chaotic, there's not a lot of coherence between the heart, mind, and spirit, but there's just a lot of disruption here. Someone's feeling victimized, they're feeling angry, they're feeling resentful. all these things create blockages. So this beautiful permeable capsule that we live in of free will becomes thickened. And the projection from spirit coming in starts to get occluded. It's not going to be as clear, right? So the messages, so there's a couple different things here. That the quality of heart of somebody is going to be directly receptive or reflective of the quality that they're going to receive in from spirit. So the messages coming in from a channeler, what is that person like? That's my thing. Like when I'm looking to follow a channeler or just even listen to what they have to say, and I do that. I have for years, off and on, but I'm super, super selective. And one of the things that I'm selective about is who is that person? Who are they in just their walking, waking world as an individual? What is their quality of being? Do I even want to listen to somebody? So for me, the realm of how clear they are as a person is of utmost importance, because what's going to happen if they haven't done their inner work? And this is all about inner work. Clarity of heart, being a clear channel for our higher self, is directly influenced by the clarity of heart that we have if we've done our work. And our work means taking responsibility for our lives, not putting blame on anybody else, dealing with the shadow selves, dealing with all these imprints we have from past lives, simultaneous lives, from society. There's so much going on. There's so many external influences and deep internal influences from the subconscious, from the subterranean levels of humanity. But they're all doable. They're all easy to transcend as we just relax and we allow this process to happen of receiving from our higher self, that projection. We receive it, and then we can project out a clear vision into the world, and that can reflect back to us what we really would love and really would want in our lives. So when we have a clouded area here, just be careful. Somebody channeling in, no matter if they got the right, if they have the right flow going, right? They have the right flow and they're amenable to what Spirit's telling them, they can be in that right position, but it has to pass through their zone of free will. Now, we have another instance here where people are reverse polarized, all right? So they're doing the opposite. They are projecting onto Spirit what they think and what they want. And so instead it's going like projection here. And what they'll receive, because Spirit isn't going to change and change around based on a person's projection. But what will happen is that what they perceive here will just be, this becomes a mirror. This becomes a mirror. And this is really important in a few minutes when we start looking at a lot of the messages coming through nowadays. This becomes a mirror to reflect the projection back from that person. So they're not in a receptive mode. And the same thing here, the world is influencing them. They got all their spidey senses out there. It's like, ooh, all this stuff happening in the world. It's influencing them, and then they're projecting it out this way. That's reverse polarity. That's not the place you want to be in, or the place that you want somebody bringing in information from the invisible realms. That's not, you don't want to be in that place of listening to somebody like that and giving it credence and adopting whatever that ideas or philosophy or imprint is from a person in a reverse polarity like that. And for me, this explains a lot what's happening right now, especially on my YouTube channel, because I spend most of my time on YouTube, where people are, all these channelers, every day there's all these messages going out. I've seen the end of humanity. My guides show me, Spirit showed me the end, and it ain't pretty, and this is the wake-up call, and we gotta this, and we gotta that. Well, they're projecting that out like that is what's happening there, and we have to make some big changes maybe not to have that happen. That kind of aligns, that's timelines, but there's a whole perspective when it comes to these things where people really like, this is it, this is what's gonna happen, and with good hearts they want to warn people. But keep in mind fluctuations of timelines. The video I previously did on timelines, we looked at that as the frequency band and us choosing which world we want to live in depending on what we want and our level of vibration. So there's people are vibrating at all different levels, all different levels. And so that means that the world that they're going to be creating is going to be reflective of where they are. So the message coming through spirit has to go through this boundary right here, right? And as it comes through that, what's the message that that person has to receive? And where are they headed? To me, it's probably more indicative of that person than anything else. So why should I take it on for me? Why should I take on all these doomsday stuff as, oh, I should be afraid because this is what's happening? No, I'm going to transcend that. That's not where I want to vibrate at. So I think it's important to keep in mind that spirit's not in the business of predicting. We may want to predict things. We may want to look at history. We may want to look at sequence of things and to figure out like what's most likely to happen, but that doesn't mean that it's going to affect you, right? Because you can change your vibration, you can change the timeline where a lot of devastation, all kinds of bad things can happen in the world, but do they have to happen to you? No, they don't, because you're going to be vibrating in a different reality. So once we start getting into all this predictive stuff, that's where I get really cautionary with things, and I kind of tune out, or I never tune in because I'm not really interested. That's all conjecture. It's dependent on the quality of the person that's bringing this in. And if there's a lot of fear still in that person, they're not as self-empowered as I would like to have somebody be if I'm going to be listening to them, bringing in something from spirit. Our first chart, remember, they're tapping into something. I want to listen. I will only listen to somebody tapping into much higher ranges. And that's going to be a very different quality to their message coming through as a channeler. And that message is going to be one of upliftment, of transcendence. Is all this bad stuff can be going down, and it will in this timeline most likely, but I can come to a different timeline with it. And here's how you do it. Here's how you raise your vibration. Here is how you clarify yourself. This is how you understand and deal with your shadow sides. It's all the information that I can use, channeled information I can use to be a better person and to work with my spirit and create a better world, not to react to the world and be afraid of the world and the things coming. No, it's not that at all. That's not channeling for me. It is channeling, but it's not channeling that I want to pay attention to. And more than anything in this video is I want to empower you to be able to look at these things and discern them based on just a very simple understanding on how things work, how vibration works, how the laws of attraction work. They all apply to channeling, right? It's not different from anything else. So apply the things that you know to this, and just know there's nothing super mysterious. There's nothing super woo-woo about it. There's nothing actually super extraordinary about somebody channeling information, because we all have that ability. We just have to clear away some of the clouds and the things getting in the way there. And we too, from a place of stillness, can start to perceive and start to know and understand what we need to do in our life, how we can live a better life, how we can live a more empowered life, how we can live a life more in tune with the immortal within. So if you're going to be listen to anybody channeling, you may want to follow the advice that I've given you on this video so far. And that is to really look at, number one, how long has this person been doing it? If it's just started for them, okay, well, interesting. Let's give them some time to kind of hone in on that craft and to get savvy to what's going on really in these realms. And then the other thing is, what type of person is it? What is the quality of them? And I want a long history so I can really discern whether or not I want to listen to who they are. And then basically their message. And if they've been doing it for a while, it's very clear what their message is. Is it uplifting to me? Am I feeling empowered? Am I feeling excited? Am I feeling like the challenges of life, I can meet those? And now I've got new tools on how to do that. How exciting. Or is it flipping me into a place of fear, a place of tension, of anxiety of what's coming, and I feel disempowered with it. This is so super important. It can only you're in control of what you allow into your being. You are a free will entity. What do you want to allow in? Just because somebody says it's coming from the invisible, woo, 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 doesn't mean it's accurate. Doesn't mean you should let it in too. So really, when it comes to channeling, it's all the more reason to be super discerning. And you may have other things that you use than what I described as far as discerning, what to follow, what to listen to or not. And please share those in the comments. This is just a general diagram to give you a perspective of what's happening with this, that it's nothing super weird or super strange or actually super extraordinary. It's kind of how we're designed to be as people. Something, I think the extraordinary thing that happened was how that got cut off and we don't perceive, and it's harder for us to hear what's going on. It's harder for us to be in this position of receiving from our higher self and then projecting it into the world. But that's changing, because I know more and more with myself and all the people around me that this is changing, that we are becoming clearer and clearer conduits and willing to receive from our higher self that perfect, beautiful projection of who we're designed to be. I hope that this video has been helpful to you. My main goal is about empowering you as a person. And if you look at the whole thing of channeling as people that are reaching out and they're crossing that great divide between the visible and the invisible, and they're reporting back, basically they're reporters. But just know that their reports are based on the quality of their consciousness, which is based on the quality of their heart. And so why are we relying on other people to bring these reports? As interesting as they are, and I do watch some because I'm like, what do they come up with? But it's more about them. Let's make it about you. If you want to know what's going on in the invisible, if you want to strengthen your connection to that, strengthen your connection to your higher self. And doing that, then you're going to become your own channel for who you really are. You can perceive more clearly the instructions that are perfect for you, spot on for you. After all, this is your journey through this realm, right? It's not somebody else's. Yes, we're all going through a specific journey, and it seems like we're all going through it together, but really we're going through as individuals. So I think it's really, really important that we keep that in mind and we keep some healthy discernment out there and some healthy boundaries. I'm not going to respond to the world. I'm not going to respond emotionally to what somebody else is saying. I'm going to take it in as maybe interesting information, but ultimately it has to pass through my own consciousness. It has to pass through my own heart test of whether or not this is real. So all the things happening now, all the woo-woo stuff out there, and like near-death experiences, that'll be the next video coming up here soon, because that's another one. That's another one that's fascinating, but it's also indicative of the quality of that person's consciousness, the message really for them. And that is bottom line messages for you. Why don't you rely on you for that? Why don't you do your whole mastery of your own being, mastery of your own domain, mastery of your own heart? Clear that space, clear the zone of free will around you so you can perceive more clearly what it is, the instructions of how to be you. And then you project that into a world, and the world that's mirrored back to you is going to be of a higher and higher vibration. That's how we switch our timelines, right? So if we don't like the timeline we are in and we want to vibrate higher, like my last video I did on timelines, it's really about that clarification of the heart, right? And to perceive more clearly the truth of who we are. And the truth of who we are is that clean, clear impulse that's coming in from spirit. That impulse coming into us, that giving and our ability to receive it in a clear way, that is going to be contingent on what's going to happen out in our world, what's reflected back to us, and what timeline we get to exist in. So channeling, yeah, it's an interesting thing when we are looking at somebody else and what they're bringing through, but be savvy about it, be discerning. Look at it as maybe entertaining, kind of like how we look at the news, right? And actual reporters reporting the news. We know that that is just a snapshot, is just a narrow range of the truth of what's really going on. You know, maybe it's tethered a little bit or a lot. It kind of depends on our perspective as we look at the news and we listen to other reporters, same exact way. Channelers are reporters back from another realm. Be as discerning with them as you are with the media and with news reporters. You know, it's not just because they perceive something, just because they see something, just because they believe in something, doesn't mean it's true. Okay? All that stuff forms up as a reflection. It's all a mirror back to us based on the quality of our hearts, based on the quality of our consciousness, which feeds off our heart, and based off the permeability of that free will zone around us. You know, so this to me is the mastery of life. And this to me is the mystery of channeling, which is not really a mystery. And I hope today that I cleared out a lot of the woo-woo about it, and that you can go forward and you can look at these things and not be intimidated by them, and not to be awestruck by them, and not to totally shield them out. You know, they're interesting. They'll give you some clues to certain things. It's just clues to what? So use your discernment with it, and I hope this video is helpful. And if you like the Rebel Crone and you want to learn more and hear more and interact more, please subscribe, turn on your notifications so you'll know when I put the next video out, and add your comments. Once again, I've simplified this down into some basic concepts. By all means, this is not how the entirety of the picture of how it works, but it's some of the basic essences of that. And I hope it's empowering to you, and you can go forward in your day and just be more of who you really, really are. So as always, peace from within and blessings and love to you.